Hey, buddy.
Hi, guys. Well, from truly gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, one of our own gets the...
Are we claiming him still? Is he still one of us?
He gets the cancel treatment? Like, what's going on here? Anyway, Richard Dawkins.
We need to talk about Richard Dawkins'
story, but we're going to talk about it. And he's being defrocked.
I'm not much about canceling, but we definitely need to talk. You and I have been saying for about a decade now that someone needs to take away his Twitter, but he has once again proven why.
Who did he ever? All right. And we're going to be talking about that. Dan.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Oh,
and
please.
You're going to swear I'm talking about Alabama.
Okay.
But I'm not. I'm talking about Bavaria. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. The Alabama of Germany.
I did not know this. I thought it was just all beer and sausages.
It's girls in dirndls and hate. I don't know.
Anyway, they're the state minister president. What a great title that is, minister president.
I feel like that's two titles that got mushed together, but okay, fine.
Marcus Soder has announced that crosses must hang in all state government buildings.
Yeah. Okay.
And this move is out of a commitment to Bavarian identity and culture.
Wow. Perfect.
Great. Yeah. He says that the cross is not a sign of religion. This is not a violation of the principle of neutrality, right?
Oh, good.
He says
good.
that the cross it's just part of their culture. It's part of their Bavarian cultural imprint and identity.
Uh-huh.
It has
Yeah,
nothing
there's
to do
never
with
been a
Christianity.
problem.
Nothing.
There's never been a problem with secular Germany using non-secular symbolism for as a sort of means of rallying people together around a culture. That's never been a bad thing, I don't think.
Of course not.
Is it the Iron Cross? Are they actually going with the Eisernes Kreuz, or are they? Are they?
No, this is a good
Okay.
old-fashioned Christian cross. And
that's good.
lest you be fooled by his claims that it has nothing to do with Christianity. The cross that he was actually shown putting up, right? It was one that hung in the cabinet room until 2008 and was a gift from the former Munich Cardinal Friedrich Vetter.
A gift from a cardinal that's not religious.
And
Don't
also,
worry about
it. Consecrated by the cardinal.
Oh, good.
But no. A purely secular symbol having nothing to do with Roman Catholicism.
Right. It's one of those secular consecrated Catholic crosses.
Yeah, exactly.
You know those? They're everywhere these days.
It turns out Bavaria is actually quite religious. It's like you said, it's probably not fair to call it the Alabama of Germany.
I've been there. It's beautiful.
Alabama's a lovely place to look at and to drive through. Come on. It's not bad. It's got trees.
There are parts. There's
which is
Spanish moss sometimes.
Yeah, it's lovely.
That can be cute.
It's also home to the only drive-by shooting I've ever seen.
Yes, indeed. That's true.
Holy crap.
That's true. We saw some shit in Alabama, y'all.
I will not let that experience taint my overall opinion of Alabama.
No,
I did
no.
actually
we met
did
some
nothing
wonderful
to
people.
alter my opinion of Alabama. That says a lot, I think, right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. That happens, and we go, yeah. Our opinion remains the same. It's not a great sign, Bama. It's not the best sign, anyway. Anyway, we'll see how Bavaria turns out.
Yeah.
So I know that you hate it, but I still enjoy my time on Facebook. And it's about to get better, y'all. There's apparently they're beta testing a new feature on Facebook that can happen in certain groups.
Okay.
Introducing prayer posts.
Oh, God. Well, they know who's left.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Apparently, in their year in review for 2020, Facebook figured out that on Easter and Passover, which fell sort of right when everybody was like first locked down at home, they literally saw a huge uptick in like video calls and on Facebook Messenger and a huge Facebook Live, like Facebook Live broadcasts went up, like huge.
Yeah.
And they realized, what they realized, of course, is there's money flowing out of the Christians' butts. Like we can milk that for all it's worth.
Yeah.
So they developed some sort of liaison, a head of global faith partnerships at Facebook. This person named Nora Jones, which is interesting. Anyway, Ms. Jones is a former pastor, or perhaps a current pastor, with her husband.
Okay.
And they're working on making sure that Facebook has features that serve the needs of of the faithed in the world, but also probably that just can get more ads in front of more eyes, which is all
golly.
that they
So,
really
like,
want to do.
It's like prayer posts is what you said, right?
Yeah, and it's unclear what that means.
Do you have to like
at this
first
point?
friend the deity of your choice and then
Right,
you can pray
right.
to them? Like
Yeah, how do they deliver these prayers?
Yeah.
But yes, it does say that what we know is that certain groups are able to enable this, and group members can ask for and respond to prayers in a post.
I think this sounds perfect for the members only lounge.
Oh, we gotta get it. I gotta find it. I don't know how I get it on there, but the second it becomes available to me, y'all, we're praying in the lounge. It's gonna happen. And they will all be to something other than Yahweh. Go ahead, pray to Satan, pray to Frank and Dan, pray to anybody you want to, just not Jehovah the Ding Dong.
Right. It's all equally useless. So
Yeah, that's true. You'll get the same result.
just pick a god. It doesn't matter. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Speaking of just picking a god. Actually, that doesn't make any sense. That was just a terrible, terrible transition. The Prime Minister of Pakistan this week has called on Western governments to treat insults against the Prophet Muhammad in the same way, with the same seriousness as they treat the Holocaust.
Oh,
Right.
yee.
So, and
Damn.
to enforce this, he is also calling upon Muslim majority countries to band together to lobby Western governments to criminalize the insulting of, Muhammad. And he says, we need to explain why this hurts us. When in the name of freedom of speech, they insult the honor of the Prophet. When 50 Muslim countries unite and say this, and say that if something like this happens in any country, then we will launch a trade boycott on them and not buy their goods. That'll have an effect. And to that I say, sure, that'll have an effect.
Yeah, real big effect. We're all shaking in our boots there, Pakistan.
First of all, like, it's... I mean, how many countries actually have laws on the books about Holocaust denial, right? Like,
I'm pretty sure it's like one.
yeah, like
It's Germany.
It's not Western nations, right? Like,
Right.
Like, it's like, no, like, you can come to the United States, you can deny it all you want, and
You
guess
can
what?
deny everything.
We're going to insult your prophet too, if we feel like it.
Here's where what I find interesting and perhaps hopeful about this whole stupid story. He's not denying the Holocaust.
Oh,
At least he's acknowledging that the Holocaust happened and was
Progress.
serious.
What progress?
That feels great.
But I think he gets something wrong about Holocaust denial, right? He
Right.
says that the Western nations understood that questioning the Holocaust hurt the sentiments of the Jewish community. And I don't think that's what any sort of law about it is about. It's about how dangerous that speech is. Not that Jewish feelings are hurt. Now, maybe some feelings get hurt in the process, but I don't think that that's what
It's about the
argument
safety
is.
of it. It's about not propagating dangerously hateful speech against a group of people whose lives are on the line
Right.
when you deny the Holocaust.
and speech that had historic consequences. Well, not denying the Holocaust, but like, hating Jews, right? The consequences of that. Like this is holy crap, right? I think it's an easy sort of cheap comparison for him to score some points. And he may actually just clearly not understand it or get it or whatnot.
He did Godwin's law on himself.
Yeah.
Do you know Godwin's
No,
law?
I don't think so.
That's the one that any discussion, any argument
Leads
on,
to the
on the internet will eventually get to a Holocaust reference if it goes on long enough.
Well, I mean, if the topic at hand is the Holocaust, you can't exactly.
But the topic at hand isn't the Holocaust. It's
Muhammad.
Hey, stop making fun of our prophet.
Right. Yeah, no, fair enough. So we'll have to see how this goes. I'm very curious to see where this leads. I want them to do this. I want them to band together. I want them to see what Western nations, the universal shrug of France and the United States and Germany.
Here's the thing. I am 100% opposed. Like, I think that there's a real problem in the world with anti-Islam hatred, and and Islamic people, especially in the Western world, in the United States and in Europe, get treated like shit.
Yeah.
So there is very real problematic beliefs and language out there hurting Muslims.
But that's the issue.
Yeah,
Not a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad that hurts
and guess
their
what?
feelings.
I'm going to say it. Your prophet was dumb. You had a dumb prophet.
Dan,
Dumb.
Do you
I'm
know-
hurting their feelings. I'm hurting their feelings.
draw a picture, add that to it, Dan, and
No, Frank's
you're
the
gonna
one that
get,
draws the picture.
You're gonna get the purple room.
Blowed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, But the fact of the matter is that, it's hate speech that's the problem, not criticism of your statutory rapist.
Exactly. Agreed.
Leader.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. So there is some new data that is very interesting. A new study has come out. Now, we've talked about a few studies that have come out talking about the health of religious people versus the health of non-religious people. There was a study that came out a while ago that said that religious people who attend church regularly are more healthy than people who don't. And then a lot of speculation happened about like what that must mean, that they're more healthy than atheists. And then another study came out that said that no, being an atheist, you're probably just that show that atheists are just as healthy as regular church attenders. Well, the first really interesting new wrinkle in this line of things has just come out, and I'm fascinated by it.
Okay.
This is there was a group called the General Social Survey, or I guess that's not the group, that's the survey itself. And this, and also another survey called the National Congregation Study, both sort of just collect a whole lot of data from people by doing interviews, and then ask them questions about their religion and about the circumstances of their religion, and then about their health. They ask people to self-report their health. Well, it turns out that there's one statistically significant difference in two different groups that go to church regularly.
Okay.
Women who go to church, who go to sexist churches, self-report a health score of 2.79, whereas women who go to inclusive churches that are less sexist report a health score out of 5 of 3.03.
Okay.
So women who go to churches, now the way that they've determined what a sexist church is versus an inclusive church is that they will ask, they had a few things. I think there were 4 questions that they asked to determine this. Can a woman be their main leader? Can a woman serve on the governing board of the church? Can a woman preach at the main worship service? And can a woman teach a co-ed class?
Oh, right. Okay.
So those are all the things. Now, if you don't have to hit all 4 to be a sexist church. If a woman if women are banned from being the main leader of that church, it is sexist. So Mormonism, I mean, we're all shocked to learn that Mormonism is considered sexist by somebody.
Right.
But it turns out that the health outcomes are worse for women, and this only applies to women, but women in churches that don't honor them have worse health outcomes than women in churches that do, or at least that treat them equally. Isn't that amazing?
So, does it have to do with a woman's just sense of worth, and so she takes better care of herself? Like, I don't understand how that's...
I feel like that would just be speculation at this point, because what we don't have is a causal line to draw, but yeah, I mean, what else is it going to be?
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's okay, cool.
So there you go. It's bad for your health to associate yourself with a group that believes that you're worth less than the boys.
Yeah. Good. Great.
Which
sounds,
I mean,
makes sense.
We're currently shocking exactly 0% of our listeners.
Right. And they didn't look at men at all. No issues for men.
That would have been really interesting, but no. This study was published in the American Sociological Review. This study doesn't look at that. That would be fascinating.
It would be interesting, like if men in settings that were behaved more favorably to women, like if their little misogynist feelings were hurt. And
but I actually think the opposite might well be true.
I know it would be, but anyway,
right? Yeah, but I mean,
it turns out that actually liberal churches are bad for men, which is why they seem to thrive so much in the douchebag ones.
But no, I mean, it's like we've talked about before. Toxic masculinity is toxic to men.
Yeah.
It's not just toxic to women. It's not just bad for women. It's really bad for men. So
yeah, I'd love to see actually that. those numbers.
Well,
I hope they look at it and let us know.
The woman who co-authored the piece, a woman named Patricia Homan, should get on it. Somebody write her an email.
Yeah. Find her.
We need the concurrent study.
All right. Well, Dan.
Yes.
It is time in Poland for their census. Dun dun dun.
And behold, the Lord, they said unto them, there is a census, and you must now go to the home of your ancestors to be counted.
Indeed. And so they are moving about the country. Because
that's a logical way to do a census.
No, I know. It's silly. Anyway, so 10 years ago, for the 2011 census, the numbers came back that 96% of the country was Roman Catholic.
Wow.
96%, okay?
I've been to Poland. I have seen on their country highways how every mile and a half there's a shrine of something or other.
Yeah. Well,
or our favorite thing, which was there were big, giant 12-foot tall crosses.
Yeah.
With tiny little Barbie Jesuses on them. They were crucifixes, but Jesus was so disproportionately small compared to the crosses. It was very, very strange.
So activists are actually, they have questioned these numbers, right? Apparently it's only like in the 20% range of the country that attends church, right? That actually goes to mass. And they know that there are other religious groups functioning in the country. So just anecdotally, it would seem that this number just isn't quite right. And so the activists are calling on people to not just automatically to tick the box for like cultural identification,
right,
but to actually think about it and say, like maybe you're Christian more generally, or maybe you're atheist or deist. Like there are other things you can check that would be good for you to check, because if you don't like the fact that the Roman Catholic Church has all this fucking influence and that the powers that be in this country use this 96% of the country as Catholic stat to ram through, like they just passed like complete abortion ban, right? And there's a bunch of other things that they do. I guess catechism is just like compulsorily taught in this public schools.
They'll just grab you off of your bike and catechize you.
But interestingly enough, like younger people, who were taught catechism by force at school, they're growing up to not be very religious at all. And so they want this to change, and they see this as a way to do that. And so they're working really hard right now. And I just thought that was really interesting thing to bring up.
Yeah, I think that's great. We'll see if it has any effect.
Well, I mean, if the numbers fall off at all, I would think it would have, it would be a real boon. I mean, it's going to have to be another 10 years before people might start to, these things don't happen overnight. I guess a lot of parents just kind of like fill out their, the census report for their kids. And so they're just like checking that all their kids are Catholic. Right.
Right.
And so they're, if people can start standing up and saying, no, actually I'm not, it changes a country's perception of itself. It's really important.
Don't just be the default. Maybe actually give it some thought.
Yeah. So to all our Polish listeners,
it's been 20 years since Pope John Paul died. You can let it go.
Has it been 20 years?
It was like 2005. It hasn't quite been 20 years, but almost.
That's still a long time ago. Wow.
But boy, when I was in Poland, that dude's face is everywhere. It's like, he's not Pope anymore, right?
Oh, they don't care.
I don't think they know. I don't think anybody told them.
He's Pope. He's their Pope. He's their special Pope.
Yeah. And you might as well have a dead Pope. For all the good that a Pope actually does you, a dead one's as good as a live one. Doesn't make much difference. All right. Well, I am going to turn finally to Liberty University.
Oh, God.
Which has seen some tumult over the last year.
Yeah.
As their former president, Jerry Falwell Jr., fell down a deep rabbit hole. His fall from grace literally went down a flight of stairs. Do you remember that?
No.
Do you remember? When he was really, I think it was just after he was fired, he quote unquote resigned. He literally got drunk, locked his wife out of the house, and tumbled down the stairs. She had to call the cops to let her in to like tend to him. Anywho,
that's amazing.
Am I not supposed to be delighted by that? Because I am.
No, I was just like, wow, what a good Christian man, right? Like,
right. Well,
let's go get drunk. I lost my, like.
I have no problem with the man drinking, but he had a problem with him drinking,
right.
and that was the thing. He was like it was supposed to be a teetotaler, but then one of the things that brought him down was that picture on a boat with him holding a suspiciously wine-looking beverage that he claimed was literally wine-looking beverage. Like he claimed, no, it was meant to look like. He also had his arm around a woman that wasn't his wife, and both of their pants were unbuttoned. But that's neither here nor there. He posted it on his own feed.
Adultery-looking pants. That's all.
He just had an adultery-looking everything. I mean, he's always had an adultery-looking face. So there you go. So he left Liberty University. Well, Liberty is now suing him for $10 million.
What?
Claiming that he lied on his most recent contract negotiation.
What?
This was the contract negotiation that got him a very sweet severance if he ever were to be fired or leave, which he then claimed. But they basically were like, you presented yourself as this moral guy who would follow the moral code that we had, and you didn't.
Oh.
So I'm going to need that $10 million back, if you please.
Breach of contract. Yeah, that's good.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I like that.
Meanwhile, also, there was a conspicuous vacancy in one of the VP posts. One of the vice presidents is now gone too.
Oh.
One Trey Falwell, son of J. Fall Jew, who apparently is now no longer housed at the university either.
This family.
So it's tough to be a pastor's kid. That's all there is to it. Anyway, there you go. Listen, if you are a pastor's kid who is being sued for $10 million, feel free to write into us. Hey, if you're Jerry Falwell Jr., you got nothing to lose. Write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com. You might as well be.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
So, Pat Robertson. It's always a delight. To play
our
a
good
clip
Patty Boy.
of Patty Boy.
We'll lose him at some point, but we've got him still for now.
Too soon. It will be, whenever it happens, it will be too soon. The Lord took him too soon. No, apparently he's discovered the word woke.
Oh, dear.
And so this clip is pretty amazing. Yeah, he's upset about, the how American corporations are kind of creating consequences for the state of Georgia and their attempts at voter suppression and passing laws to limit voting access and whatnot. And he doesn't think that's such a great thing. So let's hear.
All right,
let's hear what he has to say.
Let's hear his take.
What we're seeing is what happened in the Nazis. When the Nazi party took over under Adolf Hitler, Krupp was the great steel company, IG Farben was the great chemical company, and other of the businesses. So you figure Messerschmitt, who made the planes, and Volkswagen probably made some of the cars, and there are a whole lot of other businesses in Europe that joined in the work of Adolf Hitler. So what are our corporations in America doing? They're turning against their nation, or at least the prevailing ethic, and they're so-called woke. That's a name that I'm not sure if we have a meaning for, but it means, in addition to pitching their products to you, they're going to tell you about their politics. And you guessed it, it's going to be far left liberal politics. So what are the serious consequences of this woke attitude of corporations for Christians? It wasn't good during the Nazis, and it's probably not good now for us.
Does he know what point he just made? Pat, what are you doing, buddy? Do you know that you just said be more like Messerschmitt and Volkswagen, cooperate with the state? What are you doing? I think he was trying to make a different point.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
wow. I kept waiting for the right point to drop. I was listening to this for the first time this time, and I kept waiting for I was like, you're not making the point I think you're making, are you? You're not saying that Coca-Cola and, Home Depot or whatever it was, I don't, Delta Airlines or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not saying they're supposed to be like the Nazi companies, right? Oh, you are saying that. Oh.
No, I think he says that they are being like that.
Well, but he's wrong.
He's wrong because they're not aligning with the state.
Right.
They're actually opposing.
They're taking
what
a moral
the
stance.
State is trying to do.
Right.
Right. Like
what the German companies did was not take a stand.
Exactly.
When there was a moral objection to be had.
It's absolutely amazing. But somehow he twists it and contorts it, and everybody's at home going, oh yeah. Oh, these horrible Nazi, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I think
It's
what
like, what?
most of his listeners did was just hear Coke, Nazis, bad, and then that's all they did.
I mean, that's all right-wing media needs to do at this point, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the line makes no sense. Just draw the line.
Just draw it.
That's enough.
It doesn't really connect, but you go for it, man.
Oh my gosh.
And his explanation of what woke is
I don't think we have a definition for it, but it means good Lord. There's a definition. Let me introduce you. I'll introduce you to Urban Dictionary. You're going to have a blast.
there's some rabbit holes you can go down.
You're going to be on it for a while, Patty boy. All right. We had some folks write into us. This is from Ann. Greetings, sirs, Dan and Frank. My name is Ann, and I'm one of them queeros. I'm trans and bi. I'm also from Montreal, and that's the queerest of the things. Of the three, that's the queerest. Anyway, that's not the point of this email. I'm currently binging the show and have started recently, and I've come across your segment on gender-neutral pronouns in Sweden. Somewhere around episode 452. And it got me thinking about the whole thing. I speak French, and it too is trying to get people to use gender-neutral pronouns, but people are vehemently and angrily against it. Well, that's true. French speakers don't want to change their language for anything. For reference, The masculine pronoun is il, and the feminine elle. People have just smashed them together to form iel. But
Okay.
which iel is fine for me. However, and continues, French, like its sister languages, Spanish, Italian, Romanian, etc., is gendered in its grammar. Mm-hmm. It can sound crazy when you're unfamiliar with it, but essentially it means every noun is either masculine or feminine, including ordinary objects like a spoon. The specific gender of a word is 100% arbitrary. There's no reason. What it means is you change the ending of the adjective. You change the ending of the adjective based on that.
Yeah.
So if you're trans, then it can become an issue because using your new pronoun outs you, essentially. You're making a statement of I am gender X by using those endings. Imagine a pre-hormone trans girl most people would see as a boy, but if she speaks using her new gender, then her transness becomes apparent through speech.
Wow.
It also is a problem for non-binary people because grammatically speaking, there has to be a gender. There is no neutral ending. I think that's fascinating. It's why. Well, no, okay. There's a better reason. There's another real reason, but like, I hate the gendering of nouns in languages. The Romance languages, even German, even the Germanic languages, like the gendering of nouns is so stupid to me. But largely because I always mess it up.
It's one of those things that when you're first learning a language that does this, right? It's incredibly frustrating, right? Because it is arbitrary, and but then at a certain point it just clicks, and that's just how the language works. And I'd never really thought about the consequences in the context of a trans person.
And even if you've got a gender neutral pronoun for the person, you still have to come up with adjectives.
Yeah, exactly.
And those adjectives are gendered as well. So it's like
you just put whatever vowel isn't currently in use at the end of the words to mark gender.
If trans people
Like,
manage to get rid of gendered language, that will be a fucking miracle. How amazing would that be?
I mean,
if trans people come up with ways to change the whole fucking language so that it's non-gendered.
Get
out there, trans people.
Yeah.
I support you. I am in your army to just so that I don't have to make flashcards to remember that turnip is she, but little girl is it. Sorry, that's a German thing, but
okay.
Yeah. I'm not the kind of person that can memorize that. Like, I'll memorize all of Hamlet, but I can't memorize like all of the genders of just random nouns.
Because you can't. I mean, you can sit down and memorize it, but it works best just through usage, right?
Yeah.
Like with language, you just need to dive in and start using it.
People laugh at you enough times, you figure it out.
Yeah, well, it's horrifying when you mess up something really simple and ask a child. You think you're asking a child where their father is, and instead you just asked where the Pope is, which I did, and that wasn't so much a gender issue, but just basic nuance of learning a foreign language. Yeah.
Where is the Pope anyway?
Yeah.
Over there. He's in the Vatican.
She was very confused.
Anyway, Nikki wrote into us. Hi. I was born into Mormonism and raised in northern Utah. I'm the oldest of 5, me and a sister, then 3 brothers. The patriarchy is so deep in Mormonism. I'm the eldest and work in finance/accounting. I was doing so long before my eldest brother had chosen a major and concluded his education. But he's the executor of our parents' estate because, of course, he is. Never mind that his education doesn't quite fit what is needed. Never mind that I am eminently qualified. He's the eldest male child. It's literally the story of my life. Until my brothers came along and could do the things, I was somewhat grudgingly allowed to help Dad with anything. So I learned basic home maintenance, how to mow a lawn, and even basic car maintenance, although that was a bit harder to get Dad to teach me. But I was also a good little Mormon girl, so I learned sewing and cleaning and cooking and budgeting and maintaining a household and more. My parents were at least marginally progressive, and my brothers did learn some cooking and cleaning, but mostly because they would need to know how to do so on their missions. The patriarchy maybe didn't completely get my family, but it's always there in everything. It's definitely a feature, not a bug. Yep. That gels with everything that I know. Although, Nikki, I got to say, why would you want to be executor of your parents' estate? Like, literally, you just dodged a bullet.
That's a nightmare. Yeah.
That's awesome. You should, thank the patriarchy for that one. That's great. That's just work you don't have to do. As far as I'm concerned, you made out like a bandit on that one.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, Tim wrote into us. Tim says, the timing of your recent show was very coincidental for me, as I was just about to write you on the same subject. I've been listening to one of John DeLynne's latest interviews with a former Mormon bishop, and this man is a crier. He's talking about our last show.
Okay.
When we talked about Mormon men weeping. He is a good, decent guy, the kind we would all like to have as a neighbor or a friend, and he has been through the ringer, but boy, is he ever a crier. He also raises something I hadn't considered. Oh, this is so good. I hadn't thought about this much either. Tim goes on, you have consistently reminded your listeners that bishops are lay people and are generally unqualified to provide the level of counseling that is often needed when members of their ward come to them with truly profound issues.
Yeah.
What this ex-bishop points out is that he doesn't have the training to protect himself from the traumas that he is being exposed to and asked to help with.
Yeah.
He found himself taking on all that abuse with no way to deal with it. DeLynne points out that as a licensed trained therapist, he, DeLynne, underwent many, many months of training and mentoring on just that point.
Wow.
I think that is huge. That's
never thought about that.
It hadn't really occurred to me. Like I have a friend who's been a psychotherapist for decades and is literally like, he talks about how damaged he is.
Oh, wow.
By all of the and he's trained. He's he's trained for it. But even he, you can't listen to people tell you the worst parts about humanity, the most horrific things.
Yeah.
And, day in and day out as your job and have that not affect you. But yeah, for these guys who have no training on how to handle that, oh my God, no wonder some of them break down.
That's why they're crying all the time.
No wonder they're crying all the time. Good Lord, not safe. That is unsafe.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Rough. Wow. Ugh.
Frank, there are a lot of ways that our listeners can support the show.
That's true.
And we appreciate all of the ways that people support us. The easiest thing to do is to find us on iTunes and go and write a review for us. Yes, you need to give us 5 stars, and only 5 will do. We insist upon this. But and it's fine if you think we deserve 3 or 4 stars. You just still give us 5 stars.
Right.
That's just how this works. Trust me, the math works out.
That says
right.
That
yeah, exactly. You feel free to tell us you're really only a 4-star show, but I gave you 5, like you said. But also write a review. That actually helps with the algorithm quite significantly. And Kathy W. 2011 wrote a review from South Africa.
Wow.
And said, best podcast ever. I've been a fan of this show for a year or more, and I never miss an episode. Frank and Dan are witty, insightful, and irreverent. And the news section of the show is always a delight. Well, that's your opinion. I am horrified by it, frankly, but that's okay. Kathy, thanks, guys. You make my week. Smiley face.
That's great.
That's great. Please write us a review. You never know. You may hear it on the show, and it definitely helps. But there's another way to help, Franklin. Do we have some folks to thank?
We do, Dan. We have 3 new patrons over on Patreon. We have 1 new teacher.
Ooh.
By the name of Peter.
Love it.
So he's going to be setting up the sacrament. We got Jay, who's a new priest, blessing the sacrament. And then Demonium is a new prophet, seer, and revelator.
Whoa!
Those don't come along every day. So,
wow.
Thank you so much to the 3 of you. If you'd like to join them, please go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. It does help us do the show. We have a new goal that we've set up. Go check it out. We are looking to get a little bit more help with doing the show weekly.
Yes, that's true. We've got new goals.
New goals. So, and as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Austin! Woohoo! Hey, Dan.
Yes, sir.
We have a topic that we're going to be getting to in just a second, but first, there's been something in the works, and we haven't been talking about it, but it's something that we kind of put some feelers out on the show, maybe going on like about 2 months ago, because we were getting a lot of requests to set up a Discord members-only lounge.
A Discord server is what is the parlance of Discord.
Yeah, and that's fine. We
old curmudgeons? Is that what we are? We
were incapable of this, and so we put a call out. We got some volunteers to help us out, people in the know. Well, it's up and running, and you can find it by going to...
They've done the Lord's work.
Indeed. You can find it by going to thankgodimatheist.com, where you'll be able to find links to that and other social media. And I didn't hear back from everybody who's been helping us, but the 3 who did let me know how they wanted to be thanked, I just want to mention them by name because they've put in a lot of work. Rich, Pause, and Wrath. And if you go over onto Discord, you'll see them. They're moderators over there. Basically,
it's a great group. It's a fantastic
awesome
group of people.
And there are others who have helped. And when they let me know, by what name they want me to thank them, then we will do that as well on the show.
But yeah, if you've abandoned Facebook, there are many people who hate it, and there are plenty of people who just aren't on it, but are on Discord.
Yeah.
I personally can't figure out Discord to save my life. I feel like the oldest human being on the planet because every time I go there, I'm like, what is happening?
It takes a second to get used to if you don't know it. But give yourself a challenge. Go check it out.
I think I've kind of got it figured now. And definitely this is going to be, if you're already on Discord, this is going to instantly be one of your favorite places to hang out.
Absolutely. And yeah, so that's going to be going on. There's different sort of, they're not called rooms. What are they called? What are they
Channels?
Called? Channels. There's different channels. And it is moderated, like we kind of mentioned already. The hope is that the great success of the Members Only Lounge on Facebook is sort of replicated as the Members Only Lounge on Discord. So,
and you don't have to choose. You can be both.
You could be both. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
We have some things we want to talk about.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Richard Dawkins has been hugely helpful and influential in helping people figure out that they don't believe in their imaginary friend God.
Yes.
He's the author of what are his books?
Countless books. What's
the big one? Why can't I think of it?
The God Delusion, right?
The God Delusion. All I could think of was God is Not Dead, which is the name of a Christian movie. So I don't know why that's what came up. the God delusion. He's an evolutionary biologist.
Yeah.
And became an early, very huge, important figure in the new atheist movement. And that's a big deal. And then Twitter happened, and he's insane and embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us want to disown him now, and you're not my real dad, Richard Dawkins.
Well, what is it? American Humanists did disown him.
Indeed. He was Humanist of the Year back in
1996.
And they 96, man, they went back a ways.
Yep.
But they retracted his Humanist
They've
of the
revoked
Year.
the honor. They've sent him a self-addressed stamped envelope for him to put the award in and to send it back to them.
I don't think they did that. I would love it if they did that, though. Could you please put it back in?
Put it in the box.
Oh my God!
Please.
The straw that broke that camel's back was a tweet that he did on the 10th of April.
Yeah.
Where he said, quote, oh God, okay, brace yourself.
It's not good, everybody.
No, I mean, there's some trans hate in this, so that's your trigger warning.
Yeah.
And also some weird race baiting stuff. Anyway, in 2015, Rachel Dolezal, a white chapter president of the NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as men. You will be vilified if you deny that they literally are what they identify as. Discuss. At which point, the internet took him up on it and vilified the shit out of him because he deserved it, because he's a stupid old
mess. It's
look, I get, and he sort of clarified. He tried to clarify things by saying, "I was just asking a question. It's an academic question. I was just saying discuss." Which, by the way, that is a thing that people who are privileged people say, and don't ever say that. I was just asking a question, because here's the thing: straight white dudes have the privilege, have the ability to, quote, just ask questions as though these are all hypotheticals. And they are to us straight white dudes. But there are people who have a lived experience with trauma involved and deep felt issues for whom it is not just a question, for whom it is not, you're not just asking questions at that point.
Yeah. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
So that if you find yourself in the privileged position and you are just asking questions about a marginalized group, you're doing it wrong. Listen to them.
Yeah.
Just listen. You shush. So Dawkins did that, lost his award from the 90s. And then
that was probably the sting that hurt the most.
That's the most unkindest cut of all. And then a whole bunch of other privileged, aging straight white men came roaring to his defense.
Oh golly!
As did a whole bunch of TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists. But yeah, you know that. And here's the thing. The guys who came roaring to his defense are a who's who of fallen angels in the in our movement, in the modern atheist movement. Guys
can we guess some names?
Oh sure, throw some out. Let's hear what you got.
I'm bad at
correct.
names.
No, whoever you're saying, it's right. Michael Shermer, the skeptic guy, the publisher of Skeptic magazine, who we have had issues with in terms of this sort of thing. Peter Boghossian, Sam
Boghossian
Harris
did?
Uh-huh.
Oh wow, that's
yeah, Boghossian's become basically he's basically Jordan Peterson light at this point.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah. Sam Harris, who has
Sam
become
Harris, that's whose name was escaping me.
Yeah. He's deeply problematic now too.
Yeah.
And all of these guys have written things that I like and agree with. David Silverman's another one. He hasn't written anything that I care about. But
and I'm sure that was not necessarily a defense that was very welcomed. Like that was probably like, please just go away. No, not you.
I don't know. Silverman has been emerging as sort of the de facto face of now Republican atheism, willing to just all of these guys are now marching to the beat of basically Pat Robertson saying that woke culture is ruining everything for atheists. And what's amazing about it is that, you've got Richard Dawkins, who is an evolutionary biologist, but he's old and stuck in his ways and isn't really listening to the new biologists who are saying, dude, sex and gender are way more complicated than some men choose to identify as women. That's not what this is. We know that. There's science behind it. But, I guess Dawkins wanted to die on that hill. And
well done. If
there
that
you
was
go.
the one you wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, boysies. Well, I mean, it raises some interesting questions and things that we've discussed on the show before. Of just like, I guess I don't want hero worship is kind of coming up as a word, but also just like leaders and leaders of a movement, and when back when these guys were raising their voices and writing these books that were so influential to so many of us, right? That helped us sort of feel good about having a solid framework that was outside of religion, right? For viewing the world and giving us some interesting things to think about and some good ideas and good arguments, right?
Yeah.
Like they meant a lot, these guys, to the movement. And they were powerful and important voices at a time that when atheism was really starting to coalesce as a movement. I don't know. Is it a movement? I'm still weird about that. But like, whatever it is, people starting to come out as atheists or realizing that they were atheists or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like that was something, people finding other atheists online, people finding, and these were the guys that we were finding, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know that they were ever like leaders of the movement.
Oh, there's
that word again, but they were.
They were though. They were,
and they were heroes, right? Like these guys were totally adored.
Yeah, and there is a heroism to them, which is to say that I don't discount for a second what it took for a guy like Dawkins to boldly stand up and say, I don't believe in God, and I think that's the right choice, and I think other people should also stop believing in God.
Right.
And I think, Christopher Hitchens was similar. But the thing is that what we need to prove and what we prove over and over as atheists is that we aren't about the person.
Right.
We are about the ideas. So the second someone shows themselves to be a dickhead in other ways, we'll keep your ideas. Thank you for them. Yeah. Please leave us alone. We're kind of done with you.
Yeah.
If you can't figure out like some of the most basic things, and people are outraged that the humanists took away this award. And it's like, what could be more humanist than just simply not denying the humanity of a group of people? Like, this is just a denial of their basic humanity It's so easy to just be okay with trans people. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to like it. You can just realize that you don't have to make their lives any harder. And that to me is humanism at its most basic. So
Yeah.
if you can't meet that level, like the bottom bar of humanism, yeah, I think they could take away your award.
Yeah. And guess what? It's their award.
Yeah.
They can take it away.
But boy are people mad.
Are it really?
Oh yeah.
I mean, just these white guys, or
It's mostly white guys. It's mostly white guys that are really, really pissed. There are, I mean, Ayan Hirsi Ali was mad.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
She was mad
interesting.
that she tweeted that it was absolutely scandalous and cowardly. Richard Dawkins is the humanist of the century. It's anyone's guess why the American humanist would succumb to the woke mob.
Oh, wow.
So there it is. The
Boy.
word woke is now just weaponized. Is now just a weaponized word by the right. They've taken it over as the latest. It's code for libtard at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was bound to happen, right? Like,
Yeah, but and the thing is that it's the new politically correct, right?
yeah,
So
right. And so, of course, they were going to pile on to it. Goodbye, Richard Dawkins.
well, I mean, I feel like we as a show said goodbye to him when he tweeted that every woman who finds out that her fetus has Down syndrome should abort. Like,
Oh,
you remember that one?
I forgot about that.
That was the one where I was like, oh, okay, I don't need you anymore. You're done. I'll find someone who doesn't need to tell women that, that a person with Down syndrome isn't a valid human. Anyway,
Right. Or, what's that word? Eugenics that people just don't. Yeah. How did he not see that?
Yeah.
No, like, anyway.
Not that I want to be clear. I have no judgment. If a person doesn't feel like they will be a capable and good caretaker to a person with Down syndrome, I understand that impulse. I do not judge someone who aborts a baby on those grounds.
I don't
That's
judge
fine
anybody
with
for
me.
aborting a baby for any reason, because if you're making
Right.
that decision, clearly, like you know something, right?
Yeah, you've thought about it.
You're
You're making
about
your
it.
choices.
You're making your decision. You don't.
I'm
want,
on board.
Whatever it is, abort. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just
fine
not
with
on
it.
board with an old white dude telling women when they should or shouldn't abort.
Yeah.
Either way, he's wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you guys, we've stepped in something. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some emails. Feel free to write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of the two members only lounges, go to thankgodimatheist.com.
That includes the Discord.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
amazing.
Also, we're on Twitter at TGIAtheist. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.